Jim Williams, speaking of that, Jim Williams earlier today on Twitter, it's an update. He said, Stanford, Cal, SMU continuing to lobby the ACC for membership. They need 12 votes to get in. All three are willing, here's the key, and I followed up on this, to forego media payouts for an unknown number of years. So I reached out to Jim. I sent him an email about that because I can't imagine Cal with a budget deficit of where they are. And I know SMU can write any check they want, but eventually how long can you keep writing those checks? And I know Stanford's got that $36 billion endowment. So he said it's not yet determined small share. I have no idea what it is, but when the person said no money, that was not literally no money, just a small amount. I do think Stanford and SMU could go without cash, but not Cal. Hope that helps. Have a great weekend. Because I saw that and I was like, man, I just can't imagine, not that the tweet wasn't true, but that could actually be something that anyone would accept no matter what we've heard about just nothing. There's got to have something. Nothing would be, to me, almost impossible to comprehend.
So the gist of it is that they're just going to all get their way into the ACC by just not accepting money for a certain amount of years? That sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan to maybe you...
I mean, it keeps you alive in the sense of whatever you think alive is. I guess it means that you have to be in the Power Four. And look, I don't know what other great options they have at this point. I mean, they're kind of exploring the same ones they've been exploring since all this started to unravel. And I hate the... just like interacted with an Oregon State guy, and I hate that uncertainty for them, and especially when it's not even like the type where you feel like it's about to pop, like something's about, like at least there was just this building up of urgency that you knew eventually an end was coming. But with this, it's like there's no real like huge like pressing issue. It feels like that's front page news, but man, for those fans, it is like you want to know where you're playing, and just it sucks.
The other thing I would say, so at first it was SMU who's willing to forego, just them. Now you've got all three schools willing to forego, which sounds to me like that's the first step to unequal revenue sharing for the people who are already there. Because if you are one of the schools who's in favor of unequal revenue sharing because you will get it, then that might be the condition where you told them, we'll vote yes on this if these three schools do this, and that money that they're not going to get is coming to these four places. That sounds to me like how that went down, because it surprises me that Stanford and Cal would agree to such a thing unless they were absolutely pressed into the corner to do it. SMU is a different animal altogether.
Yeah, they're desperate on a different type of level.
But Stanford and Cal, to agree to that, to me, would have to be so painted into a corner that they would go, yes, give all of our money to Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina, and whoever wants our money, give it to them. We'll go 4 years without distribution, and then maybe that quiets the angry people down for a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, that would kill the pack off entirely. I mean, it'd be hard to imagine how you salvage that, because at best you'd have two teams remaining, and you can call it what you want to, but that's not going to be what people knew it as. And it barely is anyways, even with just the four. But yeah, that would be the death blow. And you wonder what that opens up. But, I mean, it kind of sounds like putting Scotch tape on a gushing wound, though. Like maybe not for SMU, because they've shown that they are just willing to do whatever it takes to get into Power Conference, knowing that this is their spot, their time. And if not now, when. But, you can say that about a lot of things, but truly with this situation and with them in particular, the other two, I get it, but I just don't think it solves the toxicity that already is there swirling in the waters of the ACC. And I don't know if it maybe, if anything, expedites it, even if you are giving a little bit of that extra money to Florida State or to Clemson to make them happy. I don't know that it's enough that you're like, oh, yeah, this solves everything. So, yeah, just another AD, though, from the Big 12 said they are paying attention to what's going on out there.
We appreciate Pez